Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel 2 Cents. And today I wanted to talk about something interesting with the generational gap between ages and things. When it comes to talking with your friends and messaging and texting and the ways that we communicate, things have changed a lot over the years. One of the things that I've noticed is like the advancements in, messaging. When I was growing up, you had AIM and things like that. There weren't really cell phones around. When cell phones became super popular, texting back and forth meant using T9. For those of you who don't know what T9 is, if that happens to be the case, you know the numbers on the keypad, on the phones. Yeah, you used to have to hit the same button multiple times until you got the correct letter, and do that for every letter, every space, every digit, everything. So sending a message took a lot longer. Nowadays, texting is really easy, especially now with voice command texting, instant messaging, and things like that. It makes you wonder like how it has a turn and an effect on how we communicate. Like one of the things I'm noticing is like, for example, like Google. When Google first came out, everything was just, it was Google. And now as the generations have changed and become different and more dependent on, things like Google and the internet, Google has turned into a verb. As in, hey, Google it, or okay, go Google it. It's changed how we perceived words in the language and things like that. That being said, there's always been, slang that has come around. Instead of saying, hey, what's up, it's always just, it's been sup. S-U-P, sup. But my question is, are any of you out there a text talker? I've come across this really recently. When you're talking face-to-face with your friends, nowadays it seems we still tend to use our text lingo. Like you're texting with your friends, oh, I'll talk to you later, which, nowadays is just TTYL. But I have been noticing that people will literally, in a face-to-face conversation, be like, oh, that's great, okay, TTYL, and walk away. Like, have we become so infatuated with making things simpler that we even have to talk to people in that way, in that form? To me, it's just kind of, it's mind-boggling a little bit, because I come from a generation where like things like that didn't happen, even in message forums and things like that. All words were all spelled out. Like even people are physically saying, oh, hashtag this, hashtag that in physical conversations. I don't understand how that context has come about. It's just boggling to see that people are taking something that is at the same time meant to be easier for people to communicate via internet and instant messaging, to use it in a physical conversation with people that they're having face to face. With even that being said, the time it took to change even things of shorthanded nature when it comes to IMing and messaging and texting, like, for example, LOL, laughing out loud. For the longest time, it was always LOL. It was actually funny. People laughed. And instead of just putting ha 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 ha, it was easier to put LOL. But you knew that someone was actually laughing. Nowadays, it seems that the term LOL just stands for a term of amusement. As in, like, you aren't physically laughing at something, but you put LOL. Oh, that was amusing. That was interesting to me. But then, even beyond that, in the most, recent, I don't know, past year or so, you have people that are texting literally LOLing. Like, we have to distinguish the difference between LOLing, which is finding something amusing, and then literally LOLing, which appears to be the actual meaning of the LOL, which means you're laughing out loud. Just the amount of time it takes to go back and forth between these things is just becoming insane. One of the final things that I've noticed that's come to be interesting is, there's always been people like lying or telling white lies or, not necessarily the truth in order for, stories or for hype or for things like that. And then what I've noticed now is that in order to try to assert the idea of it being like positively true, people will use truth talk. Or they're like, oh, I went to the store one day and there was this lady that bought $300 worth of groceries, truth talk. Literally trying to portray an idea that what they're saying is absolutely true without having to necessarily try and prove their point. It's like them trying to associate what they're saying with truth to make you believe it, because they think that you're going to innately not think that what you're saying is true. But it's just interesting to see how we try and take even shorthand and turn it into something new as the generations change and evolve, and the media evolves, and the way we message and talk to each other evolves, and how the slang changes, which is interesting because it's one of the things that makes a language is changing words and slang, and the definitions changing, the changing of meanings and associations with definitions of words. So, I mean, it's just been really interesting to see over the past couple of years how these things have progressed so rapidly compared to the years previous. If you guys have anything that you've noticed that's interesting, or things that people say to each other that really belong in an older fashioned style of messaging, IM, instant messaging, direct messaging, texting, things like that, I'd be interested to hear it. So if you want to go ahead and leave it in the comments below, that would be awesome. It'd be interesting to see what kind of words that I might be missing, or from other areas of the world or whatever. If you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and click subscribe. I'd appreciate it. And as always, on this channel, this 2 cents is always free.